talking about SNL, the history, the mysteries, and all the hot impressions in between, breaking down all the numbers as well. In the favorite sketches with special guests, it's on the Saturday Night Network.
Yes, so welcome on in, everybody, to the Saturday Night Network for another edition of our Hot Take Show, coming to you live immediately following the Walton Goggins and Arcade Fire episode of Saturday Night Live. My name is Jon Schneider from the SNN. So excited to be with you for the penultimate episode of season 50 on this as we are entering Mother's Day. So happy Mother's Day to all the moms out there. And we saw a lot of Mother's Day celebrations tonight. We are, of course, here as a presentation of LateNighter.com. We have a couple of amazing panelists who can't wait to talk about this episode and a great live chat staying up late with us. So first up, let me bring in my man, Thomas Sena is here. Thomas, how are you?
Yes, doing well. I'm a little delirious, a little loopy. I got a lot of sun today, staying up watching SNL, of course, so you might get like an unfiltered, more loopy version of me tonight.
I'll take it. That's what the Hot Take Show is all about. It's staying up late, just giving those really hot takes the first watch. So TJ Randolph is here as well with us. TJ, always bringing the fire on these shows. What's up, man?
Mr. Jonathan Schneider, I'm very pleased to be here with you and Mr. Thomas Sena, because I'm actually going to be bringing the filtered takes tonight. Because as you know, I'm always up at the absolute utmost professional on these shows, and I'm prepared to maintain order, professionalism, and tact. So I will only be giving filtered opinions in the show, and I will not be saying any things like foul words, the N-word, or anything like that, because this is a show for kids, and as we know, this country of America supports the education of kids. That's why the president's out there for Elmo right now in these streets. All right, let's have a great show.
Let's have a great show. You heard it there first. Let's have a great show. Let's have a lot of fun tonight as we talk about Walton Goggins hosting SNL for the first time. One of the few rookies to host in season 50. So very fun to get him. He's obviously had a huge year. And I'm very curious from both of you, after watching his episode, if you have any hot takes or headlines from the night to kick things off. So Thomas, let me send it over to you.
I think the show played it a little too safe with the host, with the type of energy that Walton Goggins has. I think the show went a little bit too safe with him.
Ooh, okay. TJ, do you agree, or do you have any other hot takes?
I think it's a little bit fair, because I think Goggins is very game. I mean, he's in White Lotus, but a lot of people also probably know him as Baby Billy from The Righteous Gemstones, which he's very funny in that, and he's also in a really great Community episode. And so, I mean, he's done way more things beyond that. And like a lot of stuff with Danny McBride. I think he did Vice Principals. I think that was him as well.
House of a Thousand Corpses, all the way back.
Yeah. So like, definitely a guy who's like a lot of fun whenever he pops up. I think I don't know if this is a hot take, but I appreciated how Southern this show felt, because I think it was how Southern it felt, and how much like Goggins felt like he was a host ready to host. And I don't know, was the world ready for Goggins? Like, is the world ready for Baby Billy? Is my question. Did the show help Goggins keep it in check? Is the question. The man did a honky tonk, talked about two-step, danced with his mama, and also spoiled one of the biggest shows in prestige television at the moment. All in his first 3 minutes on air. Like, this guy is a lot of fun energy, and I think he's definitely like my favorite type of white, which is spicy. He's a spicy white. He just has a little bit of flair. He's not the kind of guy you're going to see shopping maybe at a Nordstrom's. Like, it's just, I don't know. Like, he's the kind of guy that like he might have worn alligator shoes at one time. Maybe that's prejudice against Southern people. But all I'm saying is the hot take is the South rose again for this episode. That's probably not right. That's probably not the right thing to say.
You're doing great so far.
Yeah. Southern episode, John. I don't know.
Okay.
Go.
All right, I'll jump in here. I will say I'm sort of getting the read of the temperature in the room and in the chat a little bit, and I think I might be on an island in this one. I really liked the episode tonight. I didn't think that the structure. I thought the structure of the episode was a little off. We could talk about that as far as the sketches that were chosen. I thought the sketch distribution was weird tonight as far as the way that they used the cast. There was some shutouts tonight. When I looked up until update, I was like, okay, I'm trying to figure out like where everyone was placed. This one was a little odd for me, but I really liked it because I felt like Walton Goggins to me was my favorite rookie host of the year. We only have 5 of them. Gene Smart was sick at the start of the year. We had Charlie XCX and Paul Mescal and Mikey Madison. And now we have here Walton Goggins. And it's not necessarily like the highest bar to clear, but I felt like he was the most adept to the show. And just right away, when I saw him, like sketches that revolved around him and him driving them, I was like, oh, we could be getting like a really good new fun host to add to the mix tonight. So I was pretty happy on it on a first watch, to be honest with you. It wasn't a perfect episode, but it was a good one for me.
I like your take that you're kind of. I think your take is fair that there has not been a high bar to clear for a lot of the first time hosts, except the only other first time host this season that I do think put her own imprint on an episode. And I will defend this. I know this isn't like the most popular take, but I still think I just actually rewatched the Charlie XCX episode recently, and I still think that she did a great job as a host. In that episode really kind of tried to cater to like the whole party girl feel of it, and it's a very specific type of taste. I think Goggins' appeal can go a little more broad with the Southern versus the like UK party girl, but I will give you Goggins over XCX. But I still feel like those two really had voices come through in the show, whether or not you liked the voice. But I think Goggins was just definitely the stronger performer. Like, and of course, why wouldn't he be?
Yeah, Thomas, I think there was a swagger and a little bit of like I think Goggins brings a blend of weird energy and swagger that you don't find in a lot of hosts. And I think that creates a dynamic that's great for sketch comedy.
No, I think we agree. I think when I said that, it's not his fault. I think he showed up, and I can tell he was like ready to just jump into SNL. He was ready to be whisked away by the show. I think some of the casting choices, specifically maybe a couple of sketches like that where they cast Walton himself, like I thought in a weird kind of role. I just think that he was a better host than the show I think allowed him to be, because I could tell he was like, I'm all in, let's do this. And then it was just sort of like, they didn't quite get there with him. It's not his fault. I actually want to see him come back. I would love to see him come back.
Yeah, it would be interesting. I want to carry this conversation though into the sketches, because I know that the chat is definitely waiting to talk about some of these things. So we'll see where these storylines pop out throughout the night as we go sketch by sketch. Let's start off with our cold open, where we're going to get a Mother's Day message from Saturday Night Live. And truth be told, from someone who really studies this stuff, I was really surprised that we were going to go in this direction, because it seems like it's an every 3-year thing that SNL does, where they fly in the moms. They did this in season 40, 43, 46, and 49. And I was like, we're going to do this again, where we're going to bring in all the moms in, which I always think is really nice to get to know the cast members more and to have a fun little bit with their mom. But also, given SNL 50 and all the cameos, I just figured maybe that they're going to save some budget. So we do first open with Keenan and Bowen and Marcella with their moms, and we have some nice moments there, all of whom we have seen on the show before, and Keenan's mom especially. But then we do get an interruption by James Austin Johnson as Trump, and I was like, is what they're going for here is the tableau, but forcing SNL cast members' moms to freeze for 5 minutes. And I was like, that I'll take, because I was tired of seeing the same shtick, but like that I'll take. But it wasn't really that. Instead, the storyline completely changed as we get the first canonical appearance of Cecily Strong on the show since she left. This is something we will talk about all week long as being a major story. Because, yes, she was at SNL 50 and she was very involved. She just had a baby. So big congratulations to Cecily.
5.5 weeks ago, by the way.
Yeah, big congrats.
5.5 weeks. Like, Yeah.
There's two major things that we have to talk about with this cold open. Number one,
Over her
is
recovery, John, is that one of them? Sorry.
definitely not going to talk about that. We have to talk about Cecily and Colin, who are great friends. And, the what we're seeing with Colin Jost here is potentially a little bit of a retirement tour. When you see like an NBA player who's like, yeah, I'm retiring after the year. Like we're seeing him start to hit all the things in the show that they need to. Cecily is his great friend. And Cecily was going to appear in season 49 in that Adam Driver episode in the cold open, and ultimately backed out and left between Dress and Air. So there's a lot to think about her finally making her return here and Colin appearing in this cold open. So Thomas, saying all of that, what did you think of the start of the show tonight?
Yeah, at first I thought it was kind of a bummer at first when I thought it was gonna be a sweet, like, oh, they have the moms on, that's really nice, I like this and everything. And then JJ came on as Trump, and I think he does a good job, but I still don't quite know if it warrants doing it every week, like seeing him. I mean, I'd rather see him than obviously like Alex Trump, but I still don't know. So I was a little bummed when he appeared and interrupted the mom thing. But then Cecily and Colin kind of saved the cold open for me for sure. And I wanted her to spit before Colin came out. I wanted her to spit the wine on Trump. I was like, she's gonna do it on spit the wine on JJ. That's gonna be awesome. Let's wait for it. But then it was a really pleasant surprise when Colin came on, and of course we knew where that was gonna go. I agree with you. It does seem like a send off having Colin do the live from New York. Mike Murray, I believe, said that was the 10th time that Colin's done the live from New York. So it seems like less, but I think that was like, it does seem like they're kind of gearing for a send off. Let's let Colin get in sketches 2 weeks in a row. He came in the fairy sketch last week, but I think the sketch turned around for me. Cecily and Colin redeemed it for me. I ended up really actually enjoying this cold open.
TJ, what did you think of what we saw here to open up the show tonight?
Okay, so I think my hot take actually should have been this. We just got out of a global pandemic like a few years ago. Like this, like we all have recent memories.
Are you gonna go germaphobe on us?
No, I'm not gonna go germaphobe. But to like, I honestly, I do think that seeing somebody spit in someone's mouth, I'm not gonna lie, it still feels a little too soon. Like we all went through that. And I still think that is a crazy thing to do, to spit in someone's mouth.
They're best friends. It's been half a decade.
Oh, how could I forget? Oh, how could I forget? Yeah, besties share saliva, and that's
you don't spit in your best friend's mouth.
Yo, listeners, John is a bully. Okay, do you hear what is happening to me here? I'm not safe. No, I think the hot take of the show for me is like we just got over a pandemic. And like, I think it's crazy to spit in someone's mouth that like you aren't Also, she just had a baby 5 weeks. Well, I guess Colin didn't spit in her mouth if you really think about it. So I guess it's okay. Colin didn't have a baby 5 weeks ago.
TJ, the amount of germs that you consume every day. I hate to break it to you, but you consume worse accidentally on a day-to-day basis. Yeah.
But Thomas, I'm classy. I'm not spitting in someone's mouth and letting somebody spit. Well,
this is an insane take.
People not in the home of TJ Randolph are not spitting in a TJ Randolph's mouth. All right, that's what I'm saying. You heard it here, folks.
But again, there's not many things you can do on SNL to create impact. The show's been around for 50 years. I'm not saying that a spit take is like the most novel thing, but the truth is like having a former cast member come on playing a character that was, sort of obnoxious in the way that they acted. I think you have to go that way. If we saw a toned down version of Janine Perreault, I don't think that we're, walking away feeling like, oh, great. It's just like, oh, cool. Cecily's there. Like I like this because they were willing to go as far with it as they needed to.
I think that's the other hot take for me is I didn't know until I think this is maybe just a light news week for me. I didn't know that the Janine story was like actually a true appointment. So for me, when I initially watched it, I'm feeling it like as just a as a watcher. I was like, oh, like I'll be honest, I would have rather seen a different Cecily character. Like I feel like I kind of got my enjoyment seeing her at not only at the got the music thing that we happened with her and Bill Murray.
Yeah.
But I really enjoyed what is it? She was the girl conversation at the party. Like I think she did at the 50. I'm not crazy, right? That happened.
You're not crazy. No, that
yeah. Yeah. And I feel like I really enjoyed that. So for me, Janine Perreault, I know people hold that character in high regard, and I think it hits some high notes, but I don't hold the Janine in the Cecily like Mount Rushmore. Like it might be an extra head that we chose to leave off. So
Well,
I think it didn't hit the same impact that I wanted it to. And then on top of that, I just want to say this. Has Keenan's mom now had more cameos than other celebrities? Let's think about that.
oh, definitely.
He's been on the show for 22 years. His mama has been on the show at least 6-7 times, I think.
Yeah, I got to shout her out. Elizabeth
Yeah.
Thompson, been on the show 2015, 2018, 2021, 2024, and now. So yes, 5 times that she's been a cameo on Saturday Night Live. But yes,
It's not just hysterical. That's just a funny little thing.
yeah, it's always, look, it's really fun when we get to know the cast members' families. I think that's really fun. Colin coming in here as Pete Hegseth, and Dismukes played him in the Mikey Madison episode. So clearly this was a vehicle to get Cecily and Colin on the show together. And again, like their storyline is so crucial to the Colin Joe story. They were Weekend Update co-anchors for a brief period of time. You got to see when we had Cecily Strong's goodbye in 2022, how much, that upset Colin Joe. So you could visibly see on screen, like him trying to hold back tears as Austin Butler sang to Cecily Strong. This is one of the most important friendships to me in the history of the show. And it's easy to talk about scene partners, the ones that, the Dan Aykroyd, John Belushi that you would see on screen together. But sometimes these things develop behind the scenes and we get glimpses of them on the show. And to know how important that relationship was to the history of the show makes me very excited to see, this sort of pseudo goodbye, which we're all assuming to Colin Jost, happened here through this cold open. So I think this was a really fun way to kick off the show. Let's jump into the monologue. Let's talk about Walton Goggins and what we saw here as he full on spoils the White Lotus. So sorry.
Yeah, literally. Like,
where are we with
literally? Like,
as a society, as like culture, where are we with spoilers? Is this fair game at this point?
I don't think it's fair game. Honestly,
yeah,
I think
that was a crazy thing.
That was
to
wild.
Do. Yeah,
that
I don't
was
mean to
wild.
be like I don't mean to make this like a TJ spitting in the mouth kind of take, but I think that this spoiling a TV
Wait, is that
show,
the branding now? Is that the branding?
Spoiling a TV show is really crazy. Like it's fine because he's on there to promote the show, to encourage people to watch it, and the whole show is about like basically who's gonna die. So to do that is just like wild, especially in a time where not everybody's watching everything at the same time. But anyways, he does that, talks about him becoming a sex symbol, reads a bunch of headlines, and then discusses, and it really actually very nice moment, talks about being raised in Atlanta and being raised by his mama, and then dances with his mom Janet, I believe, on stage. And that was a really, really touching moment to start the show. TJ, your thoughts on the monologue?
I mean, yeah, like to be honest, I've always in the journey of it is, and I've said this on a few shows, I'm always a little soured by the Mother's Day thing. And I think it's just because like, I wish that like you could see that also with Father's Day, but I get that it's literally just television schedules that run that is the reason we don't also see some of those. I'm a sucker for a really sweet dad moment. So I think I get a little miffed sometimes when I'm like, there are so many incredible mothers out there. Like my own, like everyone could talk about moms. Everyone loves talking about moms. And I think I've seen some really like solid fathers out there too. And I just feel like sometimes on television, it literally doesn't happen just because of the TV schedule. It's such a minor nitpick, but this is the only place I can maybe like share that. So I always roll my eyes a little bit because I'm just aware of kind of what feels a little bit like an imbalance for like, parents. So at first, like when the cold open comes on and he mentions the mom, I'm like, I roll my eyes. I did. Like, that's just the type of person I am. I'm not going to say it's a cool thing to do. I'm not endorsing that behavior for somebody else, but I recognize that it's a jadedness that I recognize that, and that's okay. Like I roll my eyes. But then when he talks about like dancing with his mom, and this isn't something the podcast knows a lot about. I've been social dancing for 12 years. Like I started with Lindy Hop, started with some ballroom dances like waltz, tango, two-step. When he mentioned two-step, I was like, oh, two-step was like the second dance like lesson I ever took. And then for the past 9 years, I've been dancing West Coast swing. It's how I met Heather. It's how I've met a lot of friends. Spent my entire 20s doing social dancing. So when they're talking about things like honky tonk, square dance, contra, two-step, like I may not be in those exact worlds, but I know how beautiful of a thing it can be. And I've like taken my mom to a couple of lessons before. So for him then to bring his mom on stage and to like just dance with her a little bit, not only was it touching, but like it cracked kind of that jadedness that I normally have. I was like, man, it's not just say nice thing about mom. Like for you to take your screen time as an actor to highlight like that woman in that way, as opposed to just being like, here's a joke, mom. Like I like, and then also for his mom, to show down the footwork. I'm pretty sure they were doing the honky tonk. I'm pretty sure that's what it was. But I just like, I don't know how, like, that warmed my crabby heart, and I just thought it was absolutely wonderful. So like, as a dancer, like as as a family person, like that was just wonderful. Like I think that was one of my favorite monologues I think I've ever seen. And just
Cool.
it felt different too. So like, I just loved it.
Thomas, what do you think?
Yeah, I thought this is what I look for in a monologue. It was kind of to the point, did its job. This is a first-time host, so you want to introduce him to the audience who may not have watched White Lotus or Righteous Gemstones or Vice Principals or whatever he was in. So I think this monologue did its job and did it really efficiently. And I liked the format at the beginning. It was almost like a mean tweets kind of format, just kind of like picking out headlines and poking fun at himself and reacting to it on screen. It was like kind of that, like mean tweets kind of format. And then they go into the really sweet thing, and you see he loves his mom, he can dance and everything. So just as far as like the monologue's job for me, especially with the first time host, is let's introduce this person. Let's get this person on the audience's side, so it's to set up the rest of the show. So it's just somebody that the audience kind of roots for during the rest of the show. So I think this monologue really did its job in a really efficient way.
And especially when you have somebody who could give off the perception that they're too cool for the show.
Mm-hmm.
And then you break down those walls, it really does help us buy in later on in the show. So I thought this was a fantastic way to start this show. Let's go into the first sketch of the night, where we're going to go see the founding fathers putting together the amendments of the United States. And we'll see James kicking things off and talking about the First Amendment. And then he'll head over to the Second Amendment. What should the Second Amendment be? And then we see Walton Goggins playing Matt, who says guns. And Andrew, Michael Longfellow, and Mikey Day are there to, just root him on and say, yeah, this guy's really cool. We get a lot of fun back and forth between James and Walton, talking about, where are you from exactly? America. Where exactly? A united one. Can this guy be on our money? A lot of really fun stuff here. And this was, I thought this was a good sketch to place up top, because then we get sort of Walton driving that thing. Thomas, what do you think?
Yeah, I thought this was just okay. I thought at first I was like, they're really going to go there with the Second Amendment, like right up top. I thought it was going to be like this really super ballsy political sketch. And then not that they should have gone there, but I think they were kind of spinning their wheels at a certain point. So to me, it was a decent premise. Sketch kind of lost steam a little bit for me. Walton was good, though. I think he really acted the hell out of this, and he was good, but just kind of the premise of it all and the writing, it was like, okay, there was really no escalation. It was just them being like, oh, cool, I'm on board. And then all of a sudden everybody's on board. And I thought they were going to say that he's like from the future and reveal who he actually is, or kind of take it somewhere. And then it just sort of, I don't know, it just sort of fizzled out. So yeah, it had promise, but I was left sort of just kind of blank at the end.
Yeah, I do wonder if they sort of closed that loop, though, by saying that he was shot as he left the room, so that history was never told about this person who was actually there when they were writing the amendments. And it sort of explains that there was someone there who was so cool that he put guns as an amendment. And TJ, what do you think of this sketch?
John, what do I think? John, I'm a red-blooded American. What do you think I think? Freedom, America, brother. USA, USA, USA. What do you think I think about this?
Go.
No, I'm kidding. I hate guns so much. I can't stand them. But I don't know. It was a fun sketch. As much as like there is something really irritating but very funny and fun about chanting USA and about like the kind of like what makes people feel patriotic. So it's very funny to kind of like tap into that. And then to have Dismukes and Longfellow and Mikey treat it like when I don't know, they treat it like Super Smash Brothers character reveal news, where it's like just a bunch of guys giggling about something that's like happening. Like, yeah, it's the equivalent of like when like a bunch of men are in a room and they're thinking about starting a band, or they're thinking about starting a podcast, which is the more relevant. They're thinking like, yeah, it's when they're thinking about starting a podcast. Like, bro, like our conversations, like it had that silly, goofy energy of like the way that they were like adoring Walton Goggins. So I thought this was silly. Did anyone else feel like this was? I don't know what the time was. This felt fast. like it wasn't just me, or this felt like, whoa, we're at the end already. Like, okay, sure. Did this feel like a fast sketch for you guys?
It almost seemed like this sketch was longer, and they kind of hacked it up a little bit.
It was like, John, tell me I'm crazy. Did this feel like it was short end to you? Not in a bad way, just it was quick.
I didn't notice it in real time, to be honest. I felt like it was pretty quick, but that to me, like, because I actually didn't mind this. Like, I actually liked it. So I think because it was shorter, I think if they had kept going with it, I wouldn't have liked it. And they probably made the right cuts. But I love what you said, DJ, because that was the vibe that I'm getting. And like sometimes you end up enjoying sketches more because you could somewhat relate to them. And I've just like been in so many of those rooms where we're like, yo, we just came up with the best idea for a business.
Exactly.
And then everyone's just like, oh, your face should be on money, you know, like, and that's like, that's the thing where it was sort of taking something that really does happen and displacing it in time and going back and putting it in this time where America was being created, or all the rules are being created for America. And I think that was a fun concept in itself. And like I said, I love that you gave the host a chance to run a sketch. When we got Mikey Madison a few weeks ago, she wasn't given anything until the end of the show to run a sketch. So like, that's the thing is you're going to introduce somebody to us and give them a chance. You got to put this in the right order. And I think that was the right place for this, even if it wasn't a huge favorite.
I mean, they got to be able to take it. Sorry,
I think he did. I think he did a good job in the sketch. I do.
Oh my god, absolutely, yeah.
I'm
talking about Mikey Madison.
Yeah, exactly. But this sketch is much worse with a worse host. So then we move over to a pre-tape, which was a little bit of a surprise, only in that we haven't had an opportunity to see Jane Wickline really take a sketch and run with it as the lead. So we open up on the Central Park Zoo, where we see Heidi talking to Jane playing Carolyn, who I think Heidi's talking about being fired. And all of a sudden, Jane sees a tiny baby shoe in the middle of the zoo and starts singing about the tiny baby shoe. And we see eventually Bowen and Ashley and Keenan come in to sing, and it's sort of like the Cinderella-like story. And it turns out that the shoe belongs to Walton, who is a fully grown ass man with tiny baby feet. Very due niece of him to have those little limbs. And, this obviously means that since she found the shoe, that they're going to be a couple. And the argument begins. We also get an appearance from Sam Rockwell, the White Lotus classmate, who was also there. So former excellent host of Saturday Night Live, comes in as the balloon animal man. And he also has tiny feet. So, TJ, what do you think? The big role here for Jane Wickline as we're headed towards the end of the season, and a lot of talk is about, will she return? What did you think of this sketch?
I mean, I feel like this had a lot to think about. You had Jane is like Jane in the first half hour of the show. Like that is it's her face. Like they're like it is like she's coming right after that first sketch where like a lot of people might start to kind of I feel like some people watch maybe like the first sketch and then they'll check out the pre-tape, and the pre-tape doesn't kind of land. They may not like watch that much more. So that's a big role. It's also the thing with the baby shoe, the Goggins little feet, the Sam Rockwell cameo. And then kind of the fact that this starts as a Jane Wickline song where she's playing a keyboard over a piano. I don't know if anybody else caught that. It's a blink and you miss it. But if you watch the piano, she's not playing a piano. It's playing her keyboard over it. Really funny. But something about this felt very like, I don't know anybody else. I don't think I could have enjoyed this if it was a full 3.5 minute song. I did appreciate that it did turn and go somewhere else. I do think Rockwell and Goggins were like very fun in it. I don't want to make something very clear because I think people have been becoming for Jane in a way that I think is a little unnecessary. Like they need to fucking calm down. Like it's not that deep. So I don't want to contribute to that kind of like idiot rhetoric. But what I will say is that like I am not riding the wave as much as I would like to. And the more I feel about it is I more still feel the voice that Jane had in an online presence. And why I think there's little embers of like when she was in that lifeguard sketch early in the season, which I still hold that in high regard. I think it was very good. I think as a feature player, and I think she'll get this because I think she was good in the Maybelline commercial. I think I'm just excited for her to maybe get more opportunities to flex sort of in a Sarah way where Sarah really kind of grew and stretched herself. And I'm going to give her a lot of grace, but this felt so in the voice, and it felt like SNL tried to come in and help, and let's take a Jane song, take it out of Weekend Update, produce it, make it a whole thing, and then let's also like take a sketch. Let's write like it really felt like they swung and hit, and I I don't mean this in a disrespectful way, but I do feel like the Jane piece was the thing about this that didn't work. Sam Rockwell running away on tiny little baby feet. 10 out of 10. No notes.
Yeah,
No,
that was
no
great.
notes. Hysterical. But it was the song saying that the baby foot made her want to be a mom. Like, I feel like I had trouble understanding what it was that the baby shoe makes her want. I do think it's a funny term for the whole relationship thing, but I also wish I would have enjoyed her more as the straight woman here. So I feel like Jane still has capability. She deserves to be on that show. I just didn't enjoy her in this, and she was the feature, and I don't think that's a great thing, but it's one sketch at the end of the day. That's the nicest way I can be about it.
I think it's just fascinating, right? Because everything that happened up until this episode, Thomas, with Jane was stuff that she brought over from before the show. And she did a few times on Weekend Update, like basically reincarnations of her TikTok bits. Except for, that aforementioned water slide sketch or the piece that she did a couple times with Marcelo on Update, we really haven't gotten to see what Jane Wickline could truly do on Saturday Night Live through 19 episodes. Is this too little, too late for you?
No, not for me. I hope she's back next year. I've enjoyed her Weekend Update pieces, and I think those the Weekend Update songs that she did benefit from a second watch and a second listen. So that's why I'm so fascinated that they decided to do one of her songs as a sketch, because I think maybe her songs do need the visual component with them, because it's almost like when you first watch her do a song on Update, it's like you're trying to get the lyrics and you're focusing on that, and it kind of takes you out of it. And then when I've seen it like a second or third time, I'm okay, I get this. I get where she's going with this song. It's brilliant. So I think deciding to put the visual component along with the song, I think maybe it helps it on a first watch, and maybe it makes it pop more on a first watch. This is one of those, like my final takeaway about the actual sketch was that I'm not sure exactly what happened, but I enjoyed watching it. I just kind of enjoyed, it was just a fun sketch to watch. But this is one of those cool ones as SNL nerds where we can discuss the machinations of the show and why did they make this decision? Why was it in this format? And I think with Jane songs, I think the visual component probably really helps her. Like, I'm curious now with the party one, the party song that she did. I wonder what the visual,
like that one.
like what the sketch would look like if they decide to do that in sketch form. So just this concept, just this swing that they did, trying a Jane song in a different format, was really fascinating to me.
Can I add on to like a thought I had as well? And Thomas, I think that was really well said. But John, can I add a thing as well?
You go for it.
I think, and Thomas, I'm curious to hear what you think about this. I think I appreciated or could go with her more when she is doing the performing live on Update with the little keyboard, because I don't feel like, and again, I don't know if Jane can do this, because we don't know if she has a secret Chloe Trost bone in her body. But like, oh god, I miss Chloe Trost, you guys. Sorry, just take a moment of silence for Chloe. F in the chat for Chloe Trost, you guys. Sorry, no, but I'm so sorry about that. I just got sad for a quick second.
Just say your.
Anyway, what I'm trying to say is that for this being a produced thing, we have seen SNL do really fun, musical, pre-tapes, not just the Lonely Island, but many of the cast members. And I think because those are such an easy buy-in. People like music, they like jokes, but easy. And John, you and I are appreciators of the finest of these. Her voice did not lend to it. I think it works when it is just a woman who's a little bit awkward in a keyboard. But for a big show production, I just watched a woman named Emily Wilson who did a musical comedy special that kind of felt like a Bo Burnham and a Rachel Bloom S performance, but was her own thing. But she also still could sing better here to still lay up the performance. And I felt like
John Higgins' wife, I think you're talking about.
Wait, Emily Wilson, the comedian? Oh, okay. So we can talk about it later. But everybody should go watch the special. Very fun, very, very fun special.
Well, can I just jump in, because I totally get what you're saying, and I just don't want to spend too much time on this because we have a lot of stuff to get to. But what I will say is you're totally right. This may have not worked, but how do you know if you don't try it? And we're 19 episodes.
Yeah, I'm not saying don't.
And no, I'm not saying you are. But what I'm saying is that for me, this is one of those things that, like, I know there's been a shit ton of things that have been going on in season 50, like the election, SNL 50, a lot of people popping in. I get it, but like the show could have given us this before, or maybe Jane couldn't get it on the show before, but for whatever reason, we are getting it in episode 19. And it is one of those things that, like, this will be a major part of what we examine when we find out whether Jane Wickline will come back or not. So for me, this is a pivotal point in the Jane Wickline story. If she comes back next season, we will say that in the second to last episode of the season, they gave her a shot and clearly liked what they saw. If she doesn't come back, maybe they gave her the shot and it just didn't work. So this is why I think the sketch is fascinating, regardless of whether you liked it or not. Let's keep going. Let's talk about the Mother's Day brunch with Albie, where we have Mikey, Sarah, Heidi, and Andrew all having brunch in the park. We get Goggins as Albie, the server, who is just really putting on the charm with the mothers and giving nothing to the sons. A lot of back and forth here about why he is like this. This is one of those sketches, Thomas, where the person who is driving it can only win you over on charm.
Right.
So did he do that tonight? Did he charm you enough as he was charming the moms to win you over with this sketch?
Yeah, I think Walton charmed me, definitely. I think this was another one that at a certain point kind of spun its wheels. I would have liked to see the escalation maybe go even further, because we know that Walton can be a physical performer too. Obviously, he can dance and stuff. I would have liked to maybe see a little more physicality in the performance. Get up on the table, do stuff like that. So the escalation wasn't quite there, but it was cool to see him just get a chance to work the room a little bit. Just like really, like the first sketch, the Constitution one, like he got to work it a little bit, but this was like, let's let Walton cook and work the room. And he did win me over. I wrote down, you spent 9 months inside your mom. I'm just trying to get 20 minutes. Like that had me rolling. That was like one of my favorite quotes of the entire season.
Yeah, it was that one, and then there was the, like, just because your mama baked you doesn't mean we don't want to see the oven.
I mean, that's crazy. To say that to someone's son is crazy.
Yeah, I mean, the writing was pretty good on this, and
Yeah.
I do think Walton did a really good job with this one. And this is what I was talking about, TJ, before, where I said, like, you needed the monologue so you can have this sketch in the show.
Oh my God, yes.
Yeah, because if he didn't give us that vulnerable moment, we're like, who is this asshole? But because we know that, like, who he is more, we can buy into this sketch. So TJ, what did you think of it?
I mean, John, I think you said it beautifully, because it's a time where I think, oh, this is like this worked well for like a Mother's Day episode. So I think you make a great point, and I think you're right. That monologue does make it like just a little bit better. I want to hear from the listeners, especially like sound off in the chat, or like feel free to shoot me a message. I want to hear what like moms specifically thought about this sketch. Like I really want to know, because like
I think it made them sweat a little bit.
I think moms like getting flirted with at a restaurant.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
like this, the underlying, like, I love that, like, the underlying message of it is basically there is this age that people see women or mothers at where like flirting with them is a harmless thing, and they're not women because they're just moms. Like, that's the underlying dark theme of it, but we don't need to think about all that right now, because at the end of the day, Walton Goggins was rocking one button and icing his chest. This man was he said, "I'm about to have a hat rack down there." That is crazy. Like, bro was laying it on so thick. So funny is I think we all knew it, that when he gingerly handed the menus to the mom, like, here you go. And Heather, like my partner, is like, she's like, he's gonna like throw it. We thought he was gonna like chuck these menus at like Mikey and Andrew. So I think this might have been one of the finer. I'm not thinking about all the live sketches, but I think this is definitely one that is at the top for the episode. This is one I think this is one I would show people. I would show some friends, because I think there's just a lot of fun stuff here. Really enjoyable, and just a great host piece too. Like a great, like just a great, like a host leading the charge. Like, wow, just put a big smile on my face and made me laugh quite a bit. That 9 months line is
That was
crazy.
wild.
That is
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah.
Oh, John, who wrote this? Do you know yet? Do you know who
I don't
wrote
have
this?
that information. I'll have that for the
Oh
round
my
table, but I
God,
don't.
this
They have not
was
sent that to me yet. Yeah.
crazy lines.
He's
Yeah,
a mother
Yeah.
lover.
he
Yes.
really
Yeah.
is.
Yeah.
Oh
One of
man,
the best.
what are the best tracks? Honestly, I don't think we give it the love it deserves.
Yeah. 100%. I mean, I honestly like. This could make a Mother's Day compilation. Like, I
I
wouldn't
think it
be.
should. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think it should.
Like, I would be very curious. I'm not sure if they have a Mother's Day compilation special planned somewhere on NBC coming up, but in the future, the next time they do have one, I would be interested to see if this one makes it. Next up, we got a play at the Shoreham Theater called Handful of Hope, where Bowen is previewing the upcoming production of Handful of Hope. And we also get appearances from Emil, Ashley, Michael Longfellow, and Jane, with a bunch of dogs as a part of service training who are going to watch Walton Goggins and Heidi Gardner doing a scene. And it is basically back and forth between the scene and the dogs, who could not care less to be there and keep doing all of the typical tropes of somebody who was really disinterested in the play. And we get some commentary as well from the few cast members in the audience. TJ, what did you think of this one?
I've definitely turned on this because I'm very glad that we seem to have not had it as much as I think we were having it with Cecily, who's on the show. At a certain point, I was like, oh my God, like it's like enough. But like, first of all, oh man, all those dogs are cute, man. Like I'm not easily won over by animals. Like it takes a lot. Like you got to be a cute animal for me to be like won over. But like all the dogs are cute. I am also, what's better than making fun of bad theater? Like, I mean, honestly, this is a really wonderful. You get to punch down on bad theater and show people like lovable dogs. I think you really are trying to speak to the American people with this sketch. I think there was a lot of fun had here, especially all the props for the dogs. It is, I think John somebody just called out in the comments about like how this felt like, oh, they did this because Cecily was in the building. I mean, come on now, we all know Cecily was probably playing with one of those dogs off camera. It is surprising that they didn't. This was the easy place to have Cecily as one of the dog trainers. This is a very easy thing, but maybe who knows what she wanted to do when they came in. But the dogs, the dogs were definitely the MVPs for this sketch. I think it was a lot of fun. And I did also love just I liked Goggins and Heidi in this piece too, like the weird bad theater of it. Like bad theater is so uncomfortable, and I think they did that part so well too. So I don't, what's crazy is I do think this is a forgettable sketch, but I'm glad it was here because I did enjoy watching it. I think it's one that like I would be glad to have a piece of an ensemble, this sketch.
Yeah, this is one of those ones where I think they lost the plot. Like, I think that they really could have gone down the role of like, this play is truly that bad. Instead, they were sort of focusing on the fact that the dogs were just, almost doing, like, it was about what the dogs were doing. And like, it really was focused around the dogs. And I felt like they had like two completely different sketches that were happening at the same time. Thomas, what did you think of this?
Yeah, I didn't think that the play within the sketch was that bad. If they were trying to make it a terrible play, I think I didn't get the sense that it was like this terrible, awful.
But then why are the dogs leaving?
Right, exactly. So that was the disconnect there. I agree with you. If you've ever,
Have you
first
guys
of
been
all,
to Bad Place?
if you what?
Have you guys been to Bad Place?
Yes, and that's like a mid play. It wasn't like terrible. I've been to great plays before, TJ. I'm a man of culture too, so
I know, Thomas. I know.
but yeah, so it did. There's when you have animals in sketches and you're relying on animals, there's only a ceiling that you could have with that sketch. I think you almost never get like a great sketch with animals. We all love looking. If you've ever had a yellow lab, you know that was like the perfect choice to put a bunch of yellow labs to do that. But those animal sketches can only be so good. I did think there were a few decent visual gags that kind of got me through it. It was forgettable, but that's the risk you run when you cast a bunch of albeit very cute dogs, but still dogs when you cast them in your sketches. I thought it was just going to be they were just going to rely on like, hey, look, it's dogs, and then that's it. But there were some like, they put effort into actually doing visual gags with the dogs, but I don't know, it was fine.
Yeah, I don't like sketches that are necessarily written around the fact that they could just get any animal they want into Saturday Night Live. Like,
Mhm.
I think when you had like the whole like Doghead Man, like I think that there was a story there that made more sense to me here. Didn't work as much. I think Michael Longfellow though was the star of this sketch, and I think that
What?
yeah, I do. Go back and rewatch this one and tell me that he's not crushing the lines that he's delivering. I think that he did a really, really good job here. As you know, just talking, you kiss me, that's different. Like, I think that there was this really good stuff
That
in the
is a
way
good
that he,
line. Yeah.
yeah, there was some good stuff from him. Beyond that, I had a hard time with this one. All right, let's go on to our musical guests tonight, Arcade Fire, appearing on the show. They've been on the show many times. You may have just seen them at the SNL 50 Homecoming concert. They performed songs from their new album, Pink Elephant and Year of the Snake. So, Thomas, any thoughts on Arcade Fire's performances tonight?
Yeah, I've been an Arcade Fire fan almost 20 years now, since like the mid 2000s, even before they were on SNL. Back in I believe 2007, they appeared for the first time on SNL. I've loved Arcade Fire. They're one of the great live bands I think out there. The I don't know, the first song ended up winning me over when it crescendoed, kind of typical Arcade Fire, like it gets big and you end up having a good time with it. Overall, I think they sounded pretty good. Second song, I was bored. Honestly, it just never went anywhere for me. I still probably will listen to the album, but it didn't make me like super pumped about it. So I think this wasn't one of their better showings, but I think it has more to do with just probably this isn't one of their better albums. So
Yeah. TJ, what did you think of Arcade Fire tonight?
I think my appreciation of Arcade Fire comes more from just them as a band that seems to be like well liked by SNL and that Newcastle Arcade Fire thing. But I think this is the first, like I've definitely watched at least a few of their shows with like their performances. This is the first one where I felt like I was like, oh, like I feel like weird about it because while I was watching it, I was like, this is giving me the vibes of like the tracks I was listening to in the late 2000s, indie like alt tracks. Like it made me like Block Party is one of my favorite bands. It just kind of made me feel like some of their more like experimental stuff. I can also tell this was not for everybody. But like you telling 16-year-old me who just feels sad because he doesn't understand girls and is like listening to his music in his room. Hell yeah. Like absolutely. I was like vibing with this. I don't think their vocals sounded clear. Like this, their vocals did
right.
not. Also, I think somebody dropped their mic at the very beginning. So their vocals were like a little tough. Also, the lead guitarist looked yes, Debbie, Block Party, again, great band. Sorry, but the
TJ,
lead
I rock
guitarist,
Like Eating Glass. The song Like Eating Glass is on my playlist to this day.
Thomas, you have no idea how high in regard that what you just said is to me. Like, I have so many Block Party tracks, a few of their like CDs still. Anyways, but enough about Block Party. I enjoy as an indie like alt music fan still to this day. I appreciated this, but I know damn well this was not everybody's vibe. The second song I don't think it hit as well, but I did appreciate this as like, oh, here's the problem. The first song they played is the track like a few of the fans are fans of. That is a track off the album that is not the single. It is not the singles that but it's not the remix track. It is the one for the fans. So yeah, I get why some people might like have not like enjoyed it. But as somebody who just knows them only as like SNL people, I was like, oh, I appreciated this. And they clearly were fun. They were trying to have some fun, but hopefully that's not their last, honestly.
Yeah, not my favorite kind of music, but I was. It's always good to see legacy acts on the show, and I think you have to call them that at this point, based on how many performances they've had in their history with the show. So in season 50, always good to get those coming back to the show. Okay, before we get to Weekend Update, I have a sponsor to present to all of you, and I think this is a really good one. And if you were a fan of sketch comedy, you would love to hear about this. So have you ever thought about wanting to write sketch comedy? Well, if you do and you don't know where to start, the Sketch School is here to help. Join a former head writer from the Second City for a free live online workshop available now. 2 essential tools to start Writing Sketch Comedy. It is happening on Saturday, May 17th, so 1 week from today. And in it, you'll learn the 2 key tools behind writing great sketch. No experience needed. It's totally free and available online globally. And this is the only time it'll be offered this year, the 2 essential tools to start writing sketch comedy from the Sketch School. You can sign up now at thesketchschool.com. That's thesketchschool.com. And I know there's a lot of people in our community that have really wanted to get into writing sketch comedy. This is a great offer out there right now from the Sketch School. So go ahead, check that out at thesketchschool.com. All right, let's head over to Weekend Update, which to me was very interesting again, with the potential of this being the second to last update that we see from this duo. I felt like Jose and Shay were on fire tonight with some of the jokes that they were presenting. Really, really good stuff here. We also got 3 correspondents. So I will, we won't take them separately. We'll talk about all 3, I guess, as we go through. But basically, Marcelo brings back the movie guy. So we last saw this in the Shane Gillis episode, season 50, episode 13. He's going to talk about summer movies with The Sinners, Jurassic World, all of that. Has some jokes at Scarlett Johansson's and Colin Joseph's expense. We also see Mikey Day coming in here, who has had a really interesting update year. Lord Gaga was like a lot of people's favorites. In he comes talking about, or being a guy who is supposed to talk about terrorists, but he has just walked into a spider web and is freaking out and rolling around the ground. We also get Heidi playing Diane, the mom who has only read about New York City on Facebook. And this was a cut piece from last week that she brings back this week. From my understanding, and this is a Mike Murray stat that he will talk about on Wednesday, I'm sure, this seems to be the longest Weekend Update in almost 10 years. So over 17 minutes of Weekend Update tonight. Certainly when you have that, it, shows the confidence that they had an update and perhaps the lack of confidence they had in some of the other sketches. So let's talk about everything that we saw here tonight, TJ. Any standout moments to you on Weekend Update?
Yeah, I like, we've been watching Mikey Day on the show now for years, and until like the past couple of seasons, I had always felt like Mikey Day was like very underrated, like from a like star like perspective. Like, we appreciate him as a writer, but that's more for the fans. Man, I don't think I'd like, Mikey Day is good at being like frazzled as like a guy who's like upset at a table. I think about the Nico Slobkin character that he plays when him and Heidi are like this terrible influencer couple is a great example. Like whenever he's arguing with Heidi as like a husband, 10 out of 10, great stuff. But this level of pratfalls, this level of like Jim Carrey throwing your shirt off rubberiness, physical comedy from Mikey, I felt like that's a side of Mikey we don't see. Like, I wonder if that's something we would have seen in his Wild and Out days. That's right, referencing Mikey Day's Wild and Out days. Here to remind you that Wild and Out gave SNL 3 white cast members for a show with a bunch of black people. Anyways, but I think this is like a level of physical comedy that Mikey hasn't shown us. So for us to kind of see something that we didn't know he was capable of, he did 3 pratfalls. I mean, that's like what is it, Chevy Chase 101? The pratfall? And honestly, I think he hit all 3. I don't know about the listeners. And also, it was so fast and so frantic and so like, how often do we watch Weekend Update and the camera is trying its best to like keep up with what's going on in a sketch? So I just, that one put a big smile on my face. Like it's like, oh, like, we watch this stuff all the time. We're taking notes while we're doing it. Like, so this one like got me to pay attention, and I was just like distracted by the show as it's supposed to be, very engrossed in this. So awesome for Mikey. That was really, really fun. It was very funny. Yeah, get it, man. Spiders are scary.
Thomas, what about you? Any standout moments for you on Weekend Update tonight? Thomas, you're muted, so I just want to make sure that we can get you in.
That's what she said.
I've never done that. Who said that, TJ? No, I'm just kidding.
Oh wait, that's
yeah, no, Mikey was such a standout. I haven't seen someone fall at the update desk like that since, like, that was like Belushi. That wasn't even Chevy Chase. That was like Belushi, like flinging himself.
Yeah, like the weather reporter. Or
like the weather reporter. Yeah, yeah, like flinging himself on the floor. That was, and didn't overstay its welcome. Mikey just went in and did some physical comedy, and then he was just out. And I love Che. He was like, "What is this show?" Like, he was like just his exasperated, like, "What is this show?" So Mikey was awesome. Heidi, I mean, in my opinion, Heidi's like one of the great Weekend Update performers of all time.
Absolutely.
That's going to be one of her lasting legacies for me. Great cast member, but like one of the very best on Weekend Update. Like Heidi's just like a genius when it comes to those pieces. When they said Diane, I was like, oh, this is going to be Heidi. This is going to be Heidi. And sure enough, it was Heidi. So she was awesome. I'm going to say a hot take. I don't know if this is a hot take now, but I want to get it out there since this might be their last, second to last update. I think Che and Jost are the best Weekend Update anchors of all time. I really do. And I know they have low moments. They have moments that don't hit, but you go back and watch even the greats like Norm and Dennis Miller and Jane Curtin. They didn't always have jokes that hit. There were entire updates that the all-time greats did that didn't hit. Same as Jost and Che. But I think when they're on fire, to me, they hit peaks that update performers in the past never really hit. So for my money, I think Che and Jost, for my money, are the best to ever do it.
So I think there's a very good argument that they are the best duo to ever do Weekend Update. And I think that is something that I think you could definitely argue as it's really hard to compare like a Norm Macdonald tenure to a Jost and Che. It's a very different style. For me, I would have trouble finding like Dennis Miller in his peak, Norm Macdonald's peak. Even sometimes, like I know Seth is controversial.
They're both whack.
But I'm saying, but it's like a different time, and there was. This is probably a much larger conversation, but I think the truth is that in season 50, they have been as like hot as you're ever going to get, and I think that you are right to say that at their peaks, they have reached the heights of the great update anchors ever. So I think you're totally. It's a good take, and I think it's fun for this show that you said that. So thank you.
I just gotta share my truth with everybody right here. Like I've had to come to terms with like how much I love them as update anchors.
Yeah, and this isn't like
Thomas, you're so brave. Like thank you for like sharing. Like we're holding space for you. Like and just want to thank you because this is a safe space. So just like thank you. Like thank you for giving that to us. You're so brave.
I appreciate it. But again, this is a conversation that I think we're going to continue to have because obviously whatever happens with them next week, after next week, that will be something that we will discuss. But their legacy, to me, I will say that I think there was a general consensus that people were getting pretty tired and ready for a change for a while. I think they did wonders for their legacy staying through season 50, just being the ones to be on the SNL 50 special. All of the great update moments that we've had from them this year, it has really, really helped that argument for sure. Marcelo as the movie guy, to me, was sort of about similar to what we saw last time. Mikey, I totally agree. Absolutely loved every moment we got from him tonight. He is, I wrote down, could Mikey be the greatest update correspondent that we never knew about? Because he has just been so absent from the update desk, especially alone throughout his entire career. And he's just in the last few months gone on it twice and just crushed. And it's like almost like when you find out that some professional athlete had this like great skill that we never saw and they show it at the end of their career. So that to me was fascinating. I love the line, like, what is the show, as that they continue to go to jokes. And Heidi, again, just for her being one of the greatest update performers ever, totally agree, because she's probably one of the greatest to ever embody a character on Update, where she is, just becomes the person she's performing, and she does that so well. And I thought she did a great job with Diane this week. So to me, though it was very long, a great Weekend Update. Yes, CJ.
I just want to add to Heidi to say there's like a tiny little thing she did in her performance that I also really appreciated, where whenever she would mention the race of a character, I think it's such a specific impression she's doing, because there's types of, as somebody who's been amongst lots of white people, there's a specific thing that certain white people do where they are, and it's more of a Gen X thing, where for some reason they will have a tough time saying races. And like, for instance, like I've been whispered the word black a few times, where like, oh, like so and so, like, they're black. Like it's where it's like, and it's a very specific type of like white person. And I think Heidi nailed it in a way that I was like, I thought this was so funny. And obviously she's not talking about that, but she's talking about like white people, but she hit that little whisper. And I think some of us may have been in rooms before where like Diane is trying to talk about like somebody who's mixed race and it's like, Diane, why do you got to whisper it? Like, just say it, like, just talk. So I think that was just like another little nugget in her performance, and just like another way that Heidi, the way that woman characterized, like, oh God,
Yeah,
just
I'll
like
I'll say
incredible.
with Heidi that
Yeah.
I think that you'll be hard pressed to find a better Weekend Update correspondent that has more nuances in their performances. Like, she finds the little things that really attribute can be attributed to a character that maybe other people would just go like one layer deep, but I think she goes like 2 or 3 layers deep. And for me, that's why I think her performances are really highly regarded. So very fun that she's gone back to doing some of these as we moved later into her career. Let's go for the post update sketches and talk through the first one we saw here, which is the Deathly Diner, where we get Goggins and Ashley walking in as a couple. Bowen is playing Dan, the maitre d', who is welcoming them into the restaurant. Ego plays an evil server. And it's a lot of be careful because it might be your last, as there's just no explanation or backstory as to why this is a deathly diner. We also meet Keenan and Heidi towards the end of the sketch, who are playing an elderly couple who's celebrating Heidi's 100th birthday. And good for everyone who in the makeup department for getting Heidi into that elder makeup post weekend update. So just interesting where they slotted that. Thomas, what did you think of the Deathly Diner?
This might have been my least favorite of the night. I think when I was talking about miscasting, especially with Walton, I think something like this is what I was referring to. I think it was a missed opportunity not to cast him as a waiter. I think he could have I think that would have been better casting than Bowen. They could have switched roles or put somebody else in that spot. But I think I would have loved to see Walton as like one of those waiters. Instead, he just was just like the straight man husband. Like I just thought that was a missed opportunity. Ego seemed on the verge of giggling for no reason, or maybe she thought when she was backing out she was going to trip or something, so she was trying not to. But she seemed very giggly for no reason, and the premise just like didn't connect with me. I don't know. I just thought this sketch was a little bit of a mess for me.
No, it's interesting because I actually I didn't think the sketch completely worked, but I do think that it was a little charming because the way that they were delivering their lines, obviously they were reading off the cue cards, but in the world of the sketch, it was almost as if they were playing characters that didn't know what they were going to say when they began their sentence. So when you're watching like Bowen, who is asked a question and then he starts a sentence and basically is like, the rest of the staff was poisoned by the food. Like, he's trying to figure out what he's saying while he's acting. And I think that was getting them to break in the way that they were performing the sketch. And for me, like, I was able to enjoy that, just trying to watch them actually go through the motions of this. But I don't think that there was a ton here otherwise that just worked for me. TJ, what do you think?
If I can be nice to it, I appreciate the premise that somebody had the thought of like, oh, I went to like a horror themed restaurant and it was kind of bad, because honestly, like picking on like, bad actors or like an actor who's like trying to figure it out is like a fun thing to be able to do. But this is the one. This was almost, if I wasn't covering the show, this probably would have been my pee break sketch. But it was I did a post sketch pee for this sketch. I don't know about any of the
Our
other
conversation, that should be a Patreon thing we can talk
you
about.
keep that behind the paywall.
Yeah. Sorry, listeners. We had a conversation about when is the right time to take a pee break during the show. Sorry. Stop it. No, but this I appreciate the concept of like, okay, I see where you wanted to start. Like, okay, there are hard themed restaurants that talk about you might be your last. That's a cliche thing. I'm like, all right, you have a thought. Well, oh man, this should have just been a joke around the office. Like this wasn't it, homie. This wasn't it, dog. So just nah.
Yeah, I will say this was a really important role probably for Ashley, just putting her as the wife in this sketch. It's not like, there's been many times where I pointed out little subtleties that I think that Ashley's doing really well. Super solid. To me, this is not like, hey, I'm going to clip a line and I'm going to play this all week because I think that she elevated the sketch, which she always has the ability to. But it's more of the casting in this sketch that, obviously Ego's taking a different role here and Heidi's in the makeup. But when you're thinking about the women of SNL and you're going to put in this spot, like they could have put Chloe Fineman in this who got shut out tonight, they didn't. They put Ashley Padilla in this, which I think is another vote of confidence of like, hey, you're going to start to take a major step forward next year into these roles. And Thomas, I know you're also a very big fan of Ashley, and we've spoken offline about that. But yeah, this to me was like an important sketch to just take a look at like the types of decisions they're making. Did you see that at all, Thomas?
Yeah, I did. I think actually, Ashley, I might be biased because I've really bought like as much stock as there is to buy in Ashley. So, but I think she really what little she kind of had as just the wife. I think she really I think she even elevated the sketch a little bit just playing that little role for sure. No, I could see that. Yeah, definitely with the casting. The casting was really interesting to me in this sketch.
I think with Ashley, we have I think there's a chance here to have a new Beck Bennett in terms of, but like as the wife mom. I know like Heidi can like hit that note, and I think Sarah can do it a little bit sometimes. But there's something about Ashley that I think she can hit the Beck note, but for like wife mom like casting. Just given what we've seen already, like it's like okay, like that's where you could fit in for it now. By the way, let me say it very clear. I'm not saying a woman should only play a wife and a mom. That's like really fucked up.
But
what
you
I'm
did
saying
say
is,
that. That's what I heard.
Quoted, canceled. No, but I think in terms of like we've seen her in a lot of these roles, and I wonder, just like we saw Chloe, I said the same thing about Chloe Chose last year, where it was like Chloe Chose singing. That's the lane. That's the lane that just gets you to just be on the show more, to do more, and then you can expand out. JAJ, we said the same thing. Political impressions. That's the lane you're in. That's how you get on the show more, and then like it's expanded. We're not saying that's all you are, but is it your lane? And the wife mom lane is a phenomenal lane to be in because it's in so many sketches. Yeah. And it got remember what they said? They used to love to write for Beck all the time. They would just Beck was a great like dumb dad or whatever. So I wonder if they're trying to do that with Ashley, and I wonder if that's the lane that's like her starter lane. As a cast member, not as a woman.
I agree. I think that it will be very interesting to see what she does in the finale next week, if there's room in the show for her to do something big, because I am still waiting for that like major live sketch moment or not just a moment, but major live sketch where I could send to somebody and just be like, yo, watch this new person on the show.
It was Joanne's.
I would say it was the Bill Burr. I think it was the Bill Burr one.
Okay, well, yeah, I mean, I think the Joanne thing, first of all, Joanne was my favorite thing from her this season. I just would like out of update. Like I want to, like if she's going to take that next step to like talking about like what the ceiling is for her, like I do definitely have to see that eventually. So I'm still waiting to see more. But I do think that like from the confidence that I feel in her makes me feel that they're going to really go hard at casting this summer for season 51 for the new castmates. Or that they're going to try and find people from sketch comedy troupes the way that they went and found someone in Ashley, and they're going to sort of go back to where they originally were searching for people from. And I think that if she stays a long time and they end up going down that road, we're going to look back at this season as Ashley being a major reason why the show looks the way it's going to look in the next few years. So it's just something that I think is really important to talk about, and we're certainly going to do that throughout the off season. Okay, let's go to the last sketch of the night, where we get the return of the midnight matinee. We've gotten this a few times this season. This time it's Squatty Potty, as Andrew playing Nick is going to, I guess he's at the house of his boss, Mr. Patterson, played by Goggins, and Sarah. And they're going to discuss how they're making Andrew a partner. So he's really appreciative. He decides to go to the bathroom, and he sees a Squatty Potty there, and his mind just starts racing as all of the innuendos about number twos just keeps running through his head, and it devolves into this big caveman jungle type scene as we see Sarah and Walton Goggins have a lot of fun using the Squatty Potty. TJ, your thoughts on this final sketch of the night?
Like given the amount of White Lotus podcasts that I've listened to in addition to watching the show, it's very clear that this is like the most White Lotus that Goggins was going to let them get, with like kind of the clearly White Lotus inspired music, the themes about like the jungle, I don't know. This felt like a weird place for that. I don't know. I feel like these Dan Bula sketches, I keep getting like high and low. Like I like that they have a corner for Dan Bula. So it's like, hey, here's this person's vision. We give them like him a headline. That's cool. But like, this just felt like a little odd. I think, yes, again, I see the concept. You walked into your friend's house and they have a squatty potty. What do you do about that? That means that person is up there caveman pooping. All right, I get it. I've walked in a couple times. I'm like, oh, you don't want to think about it.
What is a squatty potty? Is that for like leverage?
Yeah, so basically, like when you put your feet on it, you get like more.
You get more
You get like
torque?
superpowers. Yeah,
More torque.
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah,
You
just
get
more.
to-
Yeah,
Things
more
work better.
torque.
It's
I'm sorry.
It's the way God intended it.
Got
I'm
it.
sorry.
Say
I'm
no
sorry.
more.
Yeah.
Well-
Sorry, that torque got me. But yeah, I think this kind of fell apart at the end. I think I was like, okay, the concept. The minute Andrew sees a squatty potty, I'm like, I'm going with it. But then again, I'm not the biggest fan of like scatological humor myself, so it's going to be hard for me to go. The minute Goggins is framed like defecating, I'm like, I'm out. Pass. Like that's just not going to be for me.
Yeah, it is interesting because I think if in a way this works probably a lot better for you if you've encountered the squatty potty in your life, and
Oh yeah.
just by pure coincidence, I was at a friend's apartment for the first time earlier this evening, and they had
No.
a squatty potty in the bathroom, and my fiance and I were talking about this, and I could not believe that this aired tonight. But sometimes that happens. I'm sure all of you have had that experience in your SNL watching. But yeah, this was just this is something that I've definitely seen around, and it's a fun thing to talk about. Thomas, what did you think as you experienced the sketch?
Yeah, I didn't connect with the concept. Maybe I should have known what a squatty potty was. Though having traveled to Europe, I did connect with the bidet. Shout out. So that was that was something that I did connect with. But the only reason why this wasn't my least favorite sketch of the night is because I just think these are so visually well done. Like I still like watching it just because like these are really well produced, and I guess I appreciate the attempt. I like that Dan Bulla has, or they give a writer their own playground to kind of do something like this. The results have been a little mixed for me this season, but yeah, concept wasn't there for me. But visually, I mean, it was still just kind of fun to watch.
Stunning.
I think they're well done. Yeah.
Yeah, the visual work that they do on these are absolutely unreal. So this was for me was not the best midnight matinee of the season by far, but it was still like a fun way to end the night. I was a little surprised that they didn't go into a live sketch to end the night, and I was just seeing Ellis just sent me a little note, which I actually didn't get to see, or I missed, that James Austin Johnson was in crutches for the goodnights, which did not happen at dress. So maybe an injury on the field that has happened a few times over the years. So something, James. Okay, I'm getting where James at the barricade said that he fell on his foot from slipping in high heels during Founding Fathers. So it has happened many times over the years, going all the way back to Chevy Chase falling on a podium and breaking his crotch. But this has happened.
Wait.
Very famous story how he ends up in the hospital and misses a few
Go look at the
episodes.
video.
I
TJ,
thought that was a bit made up by community fans. Oh man.
No, that is a very famous story. Yeah, so there has been injuries on the field before. Thanks to our team. Thanks to Allison Cameron for sending me those notes, because that's a good one to know. Obviously hoping James is okay naturally, but always interesting when stuff like that happens on SNL and how that could affect the show given the sketches that were cut here tonight. So what I'm going to do next is I'm going to tell you about those cut sketches and other notes that were fun and interesting from the show. I'm going to ask Thomas and TJ to think about how they want to rate this episode from 1 to 10. So let's start with a sketch called Art Class, where Ego was a teacher, Longfellow drank some paint. We had Ashley, Marcelo, Chloe, and Walton as a family. And Ashley's art keeps talking about what if it happened to you. Do you see it? Children, played by Marcelo and Chloe, keep asking what it is and why she isn't painting sunsets like everyone else. So the focus on the it there in the art class. Then we had a sketch called Deer Pine High School Bullying Assembly, where we had James and Goggins, Dismukes, Devin as a staff, Devin as a teacher, Emil, Marcelo, Sarah, and Mikey, James and Goggins at a bullying assembly telling bullied students to pick on the bullies. Then we have a sketch called Amazing Anna, where we had Goggins, Heidi, Bowen, Chloe, and Sarah. So like we said, Chloe cut from the show tonight. Obviously a couple sketches here that would have featured her. This sketch was actually cut from Travis Kelce's episode 2 years ago. Heidi introduces a new doll for kids to look up to. Bowen, Chloe, and Goggins pitch different sayings and quotes for the character. Goggins uses a burly masculine voice to say she is sick and her assistant died, so she can't come out and play and has to go home. They end up going with Goggins' character because it appeals to a broad audience, according to Bowen. And a little gay boy is seen, in quotes, watching the show when Sarah walks in. Then we get, you gotta be careful the way I would describe things, TJ.
John's guys, listeners, John is always just talking about little gay boys. Just he's always bringing that up. Oh,
yeah. Finally, we have a sketch, Southern Film, where Devin, Ego, Keenan, Goggins are in it, as well as Dismukes as a director, Jane as a marker. We get Goggins keeps going up to Devin and Ego. Devin also cut from the show tonight. Devin and Ego saying he's not the character he is on film, despite some microaggressions and interactions that come off poorly when they cut. Andrew contradicts this and says Goggins was so into his role that he's receiving a writing credit. So cut sketches tonight: Southern Film, Amazing Anna, Deer Pine, High School Bullying Assembly, and Art Class. Other interesting changes in the Handful of Hope sketch with the dogs. Ashley was acting dismissive towards a meal to open the sketch, so there was more interaction with the cast members in the audience that ended up getting cut for the live show. A lot of the clips from the dogs were pre-taped and not actually live. In Dress, the audience got a real nice laugh out of that Kash Patel joke before it was even read because of the visual. They did a different Diddy joke in the live show. All of the people who made it to Dress for their update correspondence made it to the live show. And then Arcade Flyers' Flower Garden in their second song was moved from the floor to the stage. There was a cool kaleidoscope camera filter that they kept using at Dress that they did not do it live. There was also no guitar smash at Dress. And the Bula film actually cut Marcelo and Chloe as Sarah and Walton's children from Dress to Air. So that is a big note because Chloe Fineman gets shut out of the show, did some editing, and they cut her out of that pre-tape piece from Dress to Air. So there's a lot of notes, but I hope you guys enjoyed all of our team working to get you everything you need to know about this episode. Thomas, I'm going to send it over to you. How will you rate this episode from 1 to 10?
I had, despite some of my critiques, I actually had a lot of fun watching this episode for the most part. And Weekend Update was mostly on fire. I didn't talk about Marcelo, but the rest of it was just like top notch. I'm gonna give it a let's go 7.3, which is good for me. I don't know if my scale is a little more harsh, but I think 7.3 is like a nice, like fun kind of thing.
Okay, TJ, how are you gonna go?
I'm gonna give two different ratings. I'm gonna give Goggins a 9.5 out of 10. The 0.5 is just because I know that his mom dances better than him, and he's a performer, so he needs to dance as good as his mom. So that's why he gets a half deducted point. And then as a host specifically, oh my God, please bring him back. Like let's see his imprint. Let's see a little bit more of that imprint. But the fact that he got Sam Rockwell in the building, like let's see some more. So I think as a host, like I think he was perfect. But for the episode, given its ebbs and flows, I think I got a little closer to 7 out of 10. Maybe my partner was falling asleep towards the back end. So I think maybe even like a 6.5. There were some solid highs here, but I don't think it always landed. But I think Goggins himself, anything like where it was Goggins, I was in. Like I was all Goggins all the time.
Yeah, and that's how like I started the show here tonight, saying I thought I was on a little bit of an island about it. I mean, I really do think I enjoyed this episode, but I would objectively say this is probably a 6.5 for me, even though I really enjoyed this one. Like this is an above average episode for me. No doubt. I think this is elevated by Goggins. There was moments of the night. What's tough is that there were moments of the night where I really felt like we're more like a 7.5, 8. And then there were other moments of the night that were really like 3, 4. So I probably come somewhere in the middle on it. I had a lot of fun with this episode, and I will maintain.
Said. Sorry.
Yeah. Okay. Well, gosh. I will maintain that Walton Goggins to me is the rookie host of the year. So that is my final stamp on this episode for now. But of course, we will continue to talk about this episode all week long as we break down the penultimate episode of the season, starting with Monday night on our roundtable, where we got a great crew assembled for you to break down these sketches even further and talk about Walton Goggins as an SNL host. We'll also do some finale preview on Monday night. On Wednesday, we will have our By the Number show, where Mike will be back for another great show to talk through all of the best analytics from this week of SNL as we're getting towards those final power rankings. If you're not following By the Numbers this season, go check out what's going on there. The power rankings are so close to each other. It's a really fascinating race to the finish. So definitely do that. We'll also have our patron show out on Thursday, where you can go on patreon.com/the SNL Network and vote for the sketch that you want us to break down even further. I'm scheduled to record a couple of SNL stories coming up over the next couple of weeks. So we're going to have some fun chats with some former SNL cast members. We're working on some new Everything You Need to Know to release this summer as well. So we'll get back into all of that. So a lot of fun things happening here at the SNN. Thomas, I know you're always busy podcasting as well with a lot of the great things you got going on. So tell the listeners where they can check out everything you have.
Yeah, I'm one of those people that we were making fun of earlier. Let's start a podcast, but did start a podcast, and we've done over 80 episodes so far of Pop Culture 5 with me and my co-host Jeremy Dove. We break down 5 essential of whatever topic. So, for example, this past week, we talked about 5 essential women of SNL. So we focus on cast members. So we picked our 5 essential female cast members from the show. So go look at that. That came out on Wednesday. Next week we're doing 5.
So can I just comment on that for a second?
Do it, John. Yeah,
I just gotta say for 2 seconds. I gotta listen to the episode. I love you and Jeremy.
Okay.
Where was Amy Poehler? Like, how do you not even start?
I told you the honorable mentions were even hard.
Crazy.
Disrespectful.
There's so many talented women.
Disrespectful.
There's so many talented women, and
Kristen.
You're not being a good hang right now, Tom. All right, you're not being a good hang right now.
Wig.
Yeah. Also, Kristen Wiig, only top 15.
Wait, you left out Kristen Wiig at the top?
No. He put Kristen Wiig and said that she was a top 15 cast member of all time.
Top 15?
Yeah, I know. That's what I'm saying.
Are you serious?
That was a wild take. Yeah.
I would maybe have her like.
Do you hate Kristen Wiig?
12. I love Kristen Wiig.
Yeah. Anyways, I don't want to hijack your plugs,
but
yeah, I apologize for hijacking your plugs. I just gotta say that was a really fun listen. So definitely go check that out. Yeah.
So go check that out. Next week we're doing 5 essential A Tribe Called Quest songs. So pretty pumped about that as well. So check us out. Pop Culture 5.
TJ, what's going on with you? Please tell the listeners.
Well, besides the emotional turmoil I'm going through from Thomas's decisions right now, I'm doing well. I was one of those people who also was like, "Oh my God, we should start a podcast," and then I made a decision to stop making podcasts temporarily. So if you ever wanted to send into my past works, I had about 150 episodes of a 15-ish minute podcast called Rabbit Trail. That's RABID, where me and a few of my friends would have quick conversations that I would say are perfect for you to clean, drive, or vacuum to. But no, it was just conversations about any range of topic where it's about like, what is it like for men to kind of deal with crying as they've like grown up, to talking about SNL, to talking about whatever. And earlier on, a few years ago, before that, during the pandemic, I made a little show with some other friends of mine called the Team Trashcast, which was just us talking about how much our 20s in its ebbs and flows. It was a much more personal, long form podcast show. We wrote fake ads. They're not like, I'm no writer, like I'll never pretend to be, but I had a lot of fun and a lot of like heart into the show. Yeah, maybe I should go to, maybe, who knows? I don't know. That's your decision. But like that one is a much more like personal podcast. But again, the Team Trashcast and Rabbit Trail. Yeah, you can also find me at King Compliment on Instagram. For the most part, I'm just here doing the SNN, and that's what I'm happy doing right now.
Yeah, I mean, we're happy to have you, and this was a great conversation. Obviously, we're going to have a great week of coverage talking about the season finale starting next week with Scarlett Johansson and Bad Bunny, and then a ton of great off-season coverage, including our countdown of the greatest SNL episodes of all time that we are planning on launching in June, and will carry you all the way through the summer. And that voting for that will be open in just a couple of weeks, so I'll announce that all next week on our finale show. And we definitely want to get everyone's input. My rule about this stuff is you can't criticize the list if you didn't vote for it. So that's you got to vote. So we're gonna make sure to get that out for everyone. Please follow us on social media to catch up on everything that we are doing at the SNL Network: Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, X, and you can subscribe to the podcast on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify, so you never miss anything we have going on here. Give us a thumbs up on the video if you enjoyed the commentary you heard here tonight, or maybe you didn't, but the thumbs up is always appreciated. And you can leave a comment to let us know what you thought after the show. I always love reading everybody's commentary on each SNL episode. I want to thank our presenting partner for the show here tonight. That would be our friends over at latenighter.com, and Thomas and TJ for staying up late with us, and everyone here in the live chat. One more episode of SNL to go before the end of the season. I can't wait to finish strong with all of you. So on behalf of everyone here at the SNN, my name is Jon Schneider, and we will see you next time, everybody. Have a good one.